Wife adamantly stuck to her story until I showed her undeniable evidence. Part 2. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. She told me she owes me no further explanations, and said that is going to speak to a lawyer. I replied with a curt, I hope they are good. I had encouraged her to speak with a lawyer back in November and she never did, so on some level, I'm actually glad. We have not spoken directly since. I have since scheduled an emergency couples counseling session tomorrow at 3 p.m. She has agreed to attend. I don't know what I hope to get out of it. Perhaps just hearing her admit it in front of him will help me deal with it. I don't know. Update 5, well, I wish I had good news, folks. Counselor asked what was going on, and I said it would be best if the wife explained. She admitted she never stopped contact with EAP, and had been lying about it. She said she understood how painful it must be for me, etc. Therapist asked me how I was feeling and I broke down. I said I'm tired of being abused, and said this was a hard boundary for me. That I will no longer allow myself to be manipulated. At the end of the counseling session, STBXW said she refuses to block the AP. He's my friend. We've known each other forever. I'm not going to block him because we aren't talking about anything romantic. I told her this was unacceptable to me, and I refused to be in a marriage with a third party. The therapist encouraged her to hear what I was saying and what I needed, and encouraged me to be careful about what I am saying if I'm not willing to follow through. The session ended with the agreement that we would reconnect the next day and discuss after having some time to reflect. The next day she again refused to block him, and suggested separation. I said the only way I will agree to separate is if it comes with a contract that she will not contact him for the duration. Otherwise it's just a charade and delaying the inevitable. The alternative is divorce. She said she needs a few days to reflect. At the end of the conversation she said she may just delete Facebook. I have a call into my attorney for another consultation. I have also found a law firm here that specializes in mediated divorces and have suggested we have a consultation with them. I had a meeting with my therapist the next day, and she said wow, at least she's being honest. I know it's not what you want to hear, but she's also not lying for once. Update end. Here is the second story. So we have been together for 6 years now and will be married for 3 years in December this year. By all accounts we had a very happy relationship and marriage. The only hiccup was that just after 2 months of marriage I had to go abroad for 8 months. It was known by both of us at least 1 year before marriage and she never put up any objections to it. So after 2 months I went away, and we met 4 times during that interval. Before I go any further I must state here that she had a best friend who was her high school boyfriend and they had stayed in touch throughout. He lived in a different state and we hardly ever saw him in person, and she never spent any inordinate time with him on the phone also, so I never gave it a second thought. When I came back home she told me that they had a falling out and were no longer friends. I was curious, but ultimately he was her friend, so I didn't push her to tell me. After coming home our relationship has been very strong and she is a very loyal, loving and supportive partner. We were planning on buying a house and starting a family next year. Anyways, yesterday when I came home she was sitting on the porch and I could see that she was crying. I thought she had received some bad news about a relative who is seriously ill. So I came rushing to comfort her. Then she told me amid her tears that she has something to tell me, and she confessed to having an affair with her best friend for 4 months while I was gone during the beginning. She said it was mostly an emotional affair which turned physical 3 times when he came to visit her during that period. When he came to visit her the 3rd time he pushed for a relationship which jolted my wife, as she told me, and she put a stop to it and decided that it would be best if they don't see or speak to each other again. And as far as I know she doesn't talk to him. We keep our phone open, and although I have never checked hers I don't think she would be so carefree if she was still talking to him. I asked why and she said that she was unhappy that I had gone away so soon after the marriage, and her BFF was also unhappy in his relationship and thus they found solace in each other. And before they knew it they were already deep into emotional affair territory. I then asked why, tell me now. Then she said that the fiancé of the former BFF had found proof of the affair and she might contact me, so she thought it was better for me to hear from her directly. That was the last time that I talked to her, as I told her that I need some time to think, and walked out. I got into my car and have checked into a hotel now. It's from the hotel that I am making this post now. I would really like some advice now because I can't turn to my usual support apparatus of friends and family during this time. Is our relationship salvageable? Should I try to save it, or is divorce the only option here? Can I ever trust her again? I would love any and all advice, thanks. Here is the third story. 6 years ago, my wife was having some sort of midlife crisis in her late 40s. She was part of a tennis group. She started hanging out with this one chick who had just divorced and was helping her through it. The divorced chick acts a little butch, I should add. She started hanging out late, not calling, partying a lot with this divorce and the team. This went on for over a year and I was miserable and insecure. Towards the end I found some interesting texts on her phone after I caught her lying about another text where she and the chick were going to visit a guy out of town. So I caught her lying there and she admitted it, but said it was only for the chick's sake but didn't want to take it out of town. Now previously, I had always suspected something, so I read somewhere to check their underwear for stains if you suspect something. I had been doing that for a while and found something once that made me suspicious but couldn't be sure. Then I found a text where she said something to the chick about, "Are you still going to talk to me after I tasted your cherry chapstick?" The chick responds, "Yes. I liked it. All the time, I thought that was about a kiss. Yeah, I'm dumb. So I think, hey, she's acting like a high school girl and they do silly stuff like that. Maybe it was truth or dare or spin the bottle sleepover stuff." Later at a tennis-related event, I jokingly told the chick to stop trying to have sex with my wife. She said, "Me? It's her trying to have sex with me." Again, that caught me off guard, so I didn't think much more about it. It didn't make sense. I know my wife, right? She's not bi or a lesbian, right? I should add that at this event, I noticed my wife sort of sitting close to this divorce, resting her legs on the chick's legs like a footstool. I thought that was a weird thing but don't know much about BFF girls. Then just the other night, 6 years later, I learned from a meme that cherry chapstick is a girl's V. I couldn't sleep that night, thinking about all this stuff. I start adding things together: stain, cherry chapstick, staying out late, lying, she's trying to have sex with me. Either she had lesbian sex with this very heterosexual divorce, or they had a threesome, which could explain the stain. Or even a foursome? None of that sounds like the wife I know, but she recently admitted to me that she's such a follower. She follows the crowd she hangs with, so she just needs to hang with me to stay out of trouble. A few years later, she got completely out of that crowd and turned herself around to be devoted to me. She doesn't go out or have any friends really of any kind. She doesn't seem to want them. So now that I have this information, the meaning of cherry chapstick and connecting all of the dots, what do I do? Question mark. I want to know the truth and I'm having dredged up feelings of resentment and insecurity. However, I'm not sure it's worth the pain it would take to learn it. She has obviously worked hard to turn things around in the marriage and has had zero interaction with any of that crowd, including and especially the chick, in several years. I can't seem to envision how a confrontation would go or if anything good would come of it. Thoughts? Here are some of the best comments from our community. She probably became devoted to you purely out of guilt and regret over what she may have done while she was in that friend group. It's best to have a heart-to-heart with your wife. You should probably confront her about this. I mean, if she's bisexual or a lesbian, she could just be staying with you out of guilt and confed. I wouldn't want to be with someone who is only with me for that reason. She may also really love you and feel guilt for that reason. But I think you have a right to know either way. Keep in mind though, this may completely blow up your marriage. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.